Welcome to Tea Time with Shayleigh and Amber, the podcast where we talk about all the shit that your horse wants you to know and what you can do about it. Amber is a horse trainer and a personal results coach, certified in Theta and Semitic breathwork. Shayleigh is an animal communicator who also teaches communication. Both knowledge seekers with the intention of sharing that knowledge and hoping that we can encourage the listeners to do the same. On today's episode, we do a recap of the 21-day vision quest that we've just completed with our first group. And we are so excited to have our next group come through starting September 15th. We're doing a workshop on the 7th to give you guys a little taste of what it'll be about. All of that information will be in the show notes, but for now, just enjoy our little recap and experience of how it was for us participating in our own 21-day vision quest.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. If you missed last week's episode, we released our guest podcast with Tammy Billups, which was so awesome. We discussed her book because we read it in our membership. And it's all about like animal soul contracts and how to help your animals through like connecting to your own self. So totally aligned with a lot of the work that we do. She talked a lot about grief with us too in that, which was interesting at the time because it wasn't something that I needed. And then wildly enough, Bro ended up like transitioning after that. And I like went back to the podcast. Super cool. So yeah, if you guys have not listened to it, check it out. Today we kind of wanted to recap our little 21-day vision quest thing that we've been doing. It's so interesting, like facilitating such a powerful thing and then like being able to do it with our people and also like being in the shit ourselves. Like Amber's horse got stuck against the wall last night and she was just talking about how she had to record this meditation and like we have all these things, you know, like our people are like, this is life changing, this is amazing, and we're like, that's great. Anyway, I'm like falling apart over here. So there's something so like fun about being authentic and like channeling, you know, our intuition and helping people call their power back, but then also having that supportive community of being like, all right, shit's hitting the fan, like people messaging me like, you forgot the daily message today. I'm like, I know. I was standing on a foldable chair and I was trying to take a fan off the wall and it collapsed and I hit my head the hardest I've hit my head in so long. Just like real life stuff in the midst of this magical 21-day thing.
Yeah, I feel like we didn't really know. I mean, we kind of had an idea of what it was going to look like. And I feel like it was just like a few days before where I was like, when's it coming? Like, when's the download coming of the like structure, the roadmap? It's like we knew it would come, but the ability to sort of have everyone know that it was a beta and then have the flexibility of being able to like stay in the energy of the actual group and like what they needed, I think was what made it so potent for people, is because it wasn't some like pre-recorded thing that we're completely disconnected from all the things. It was kind of like podcasty where we're just going with the flow of where our lives are while staying with some sort of like structure and roadmap that we had laid out prior to. But the tapping into the like the mind body spirit all together like in that flow, I think was really powerful because we started out with some like sort of heavy ish stuff that I feel like cleared a lot of stuff out for people. I honestly like, I know that the stuff that we were putting in was good, but I was still a little bit like surprised by the feedback that we got.
Me too. And maybe
Yeah,
it's just like, you go.
there's a delay. There's a delay. I'm on a delay. I am delayed. I'm tired. But yeah, it was shocking. I don't know why. It was just like, I think there was just so many and people were so active and engaging so heavily within the Facebook group. And I feel like sometimes when you start this stuff, people are a little bit like shy, or, you have to really go in and like encourage people. And it was like one little post, and it was like, brrr, like everybody was like, ah. So I thought that was really fucking awesome.
I know. It was awesome. And everybody just getting like their own little truths out of it and knowing that they can share, and like us being able to share and be like, this is what came up for me. And I thought it was super fun because I would connect to the collective of horses from the people in the group every day and put like a little daily message from the horses, and we like pulled an oracle card and did daily messages and stuff, which was really cool. Like all of the messages ended up being super relevant to like where people were with like their horses and their bodies and all of that stuff. And the meditations all came organically. And we're super excited to be like releasing our next one sometime next month. We haven't really picked a date yet, but like do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we are going to do a little workshop, a little 2 hour or so workshop that we'll put out. And it'll just be like a bite-sized version of the 21-day vision quest. And also, we're getting feedback from people. So it might end up not being 21 days. I don't know. I did ask that in the little form to see how people felt. Like, do you want it shorter? Do you want it longer? We're calling it that now, but stay open to change because we don't know. Where we'll do just like a little bite-sized version of this vision quest in this little 2 hour workshop, and you guys can get a taste of it. If you don't know who we are, you'll be able to get to know us a little bit. But I will say that flow of those three things, and then into the body, and then the spirit piece, it really like brought it all together. It like all the pieces that people talk about having a hard time like connecting with their horses and connecting with themselves, and then having that piece of the communication aspect where you're getting all cleared out and plunged out, and your perspective is really shifting, and then all of a sudden you're able to allow all of these messages and receive all of these like understandings and teachings from your horses and your animals. Like, yeah, it's kind of rad. So doing a little workshop nugget for you guys, and it'll be super affordable. And if you guys do decide to want to join the next one that we're going to do in September, then the money that you pay towards the workshop will just go right into the next vision quest. So it's a no-brainer for that one for sure. But we did go along with everyone, and I'm assuming that we'll at some level do that for the next one too. And did the activities, did the exercises, did the meditation. So in real time, as well as our people going through it, like we were going through this stuff. And it was pretty profound. It was crazy because I was like, wow, how did I get so lucky to have access to all these meditations that Shayleigh is doing? I
I
could just
felt
do
the
them
same
when
way
I walk.
about you, actually.
I was like, just created something that I would have wanted to do. Like, is that cheating?
I know, like doing like the mirror session and like, yeah, doing your little meditations. And some of them I did like with each horse. Like it was intentional for us to do things like with your horse, but like I would go through and do like some of your meditations for like every one of my horses. I think what's really cool too is like people feeling more empowered to work with their thoughts, because there's a lot of misconception around like communication and connecting in general, whether it's like to their bodies or to them in a non-physical way, where you can't have like your mind going. You have to like shut out your thoughts, or you have to redirect yourself. And there's something really powerful about like having someone guide you and be like, hey, those thoughts that you have, like they're for a reason and they're serving you, and let's figure out why so that you can move forward. Like that's what I loved about it the most, is that we never really gave it's not like we give people answers, or we're like giving them a roadmap to like, this is how you do it. It's like, hey, here's all your options, which one feels better to you? Okay, let's figure out why, let's figure out how it's serving you, let's figure out what's beneficial from this, and then you can like move forward to the next step, which is like just super fun.
Yeah, and I feel like every single person, even the people that life sort of got away from them, and then they had to take a pause or they felt like they were being left behind. We did build in a couple days where you get a break and you can catch up. But even for the people that they were too far behind, they still were able to just hop back on at any point. I think there were a couple of people today that said they were on day 7 still. But you have to remember, like, you're always being guided. So even if that happens and you go and you just tap into which one feels like the one to do for the day, you're going to get exactly what you need from it. So I thought that was kind of rad because it wasn't like they had to be on the same exercise as everyone else to get, what they needed from it. It was like you got exactly what you needed when you listened to whatever you listened to or whatever activity you did. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I actually had a lot of like big shifts with my horse Biggie during this process. And I was doing one of your meditations. It was like either a breathing one or walking into your future self. And it was so interesting because he always has this left shoulder thing. And he was like, yeah, my left shoulder is like guarding my heart and it's full of betrayal. And that's something that's like mirrored in you. And I was like, wow, that's so interesting because everyone who looks at my body talks about my left shoulder. And like, remember, Catherine, after the Elements of Connection clinic, was sitting behind me. Amber was taking us to the airport. And she's like, did something ever happen to your left shoulder? So I thought that was wild. And I was like, okay, well, how is this serving you? Like, how do we move past this? And he was like, well, you have to figure out like where the betrayal is coming in you. And we got to like heal it together. And I have been working on mounting this horse for like a year and a half probably, and I was able to like clear that with him and then walk through like this whole visualization process, taking him with me into our future selves. And like, I'm fortunate that my arena's in my backyard because I was like with my eyes closed on my mounting block, like petting fake him, and was like, this is what I'm gonna do, you're gonna walk up to the mounting block and I'm gonna pet your hair. And like, it was so cool because he was grazing on the side of my arena, like across from me. And as I started like releasing the resistance, figuring out where the betrayal came from, knowing exactly where the betrayal came from in him, and moving through Amber's meditation, he came over to me and stood right in front of the mounting block. And well, I was petting his mane and doing all this stuff. And then I was like, well, shit, I gotta like record this. So I ended up setting up my camera because I was like, I actually don't know why I did that because I never record what we look like. And I think I just knew in my, because I hate seeing myself on video. I feel like anytime I record stuff of myself, I always end up fucking up. Like it's, like we'll be doing something perfectly and I'm like, oh, let me get that on camera so I could post it. And then it's like, it never goes according to plan. But for some reason, I was like, I knew, I guess, that it was going to go according to plan. And I wanted to be able to like send it to my friends and be like, I got on Biggie. And I did. It like went exactly according to plan. And I think the only reason that I was able to actually sit on him was because I've been doing the work, like the daily work over this 21 days, and like really getting to the bottom of like, where am I? And like, where is my horse? And something that I think is coming up in a lot of my communication sessions right now too is really wanting your horse to do something. And Amber has talked a lot about this too. It's like wanting your horse to do something, but everything in your body is telling them no. And that was so interesting to me because I felt like that came up in some way, shape, or form for everyone in the vision quest too. It's like wanting to do something and your body being like, nope, just kidding, or your mind or whatever.
Yeah. And it's kind of that piece that's built in is like having the conversations and getting to know like all three of those things and how they intertwine. And instead of like rejecting any one of them, sort of like having conversations with those parts and identifying why they were installed and then having it shift and work for you in a really conscious way. And it was cool because nothing we gave was like super specific. It was like let people really found their own groove and let it happen in their life how it needed to. I can say for sure, Z's, that in the last 2 weeks, something huge shifted. Well, I almost knocked my computer over. Something huge shifted for me in that place of taking my power back and not abandoning myself in certain situations and friendships and business and relationship, partnerships, whatever, uh just doing the journaling. I'm really not good at journaling, and I always say, like, if I ever have anything significant that wants to be like written down, I usually just do it straight on social media. And so it just like goes out. But I was able to sort of trace back like why I can't journal. I can't journal. I mean, I can't journal. I'm doing air quotes for those of you that are listening. And it was because when I was younger, I was dating somebody and I had a journal that I had written in for years and years and years. And he went into my journal and read it and then actually wrote in it. And after that, I stopped writing anything. I used to write all the time. I was like a writer. And then all of a sudden I was like, I will not write anything. So it's interesting because I was like, so how do I leap from not wanting to journal, which consciously now, like whatever, right? Like there's something that was still sort of stuck there, but I was willing to just say whatever on social media. And it was like, well, if I air it out, then there's nothing that anyone could ever find and go, oh, but this is her secret. I'm like out there. I don't have secrets. This is me. Like sometimes it's messy and then sometimes it's not, but I think what it does, because I think you're like that too. Like we're not trying to like be anything that we're not. We're not trying to pretend like we have it all figured out by any means. But I think we have it figured out enough to where we're able to hold space for people. And I feel like it gives people permission to be real and like have shit shows happening in their life, and then still have it work out and still being able to find like what their place is in their experience with their horse or with their family or with their friends or whatever, and then just go do it, you know what I mean, and then see what happens. I feel like this whole entire vision quest was sort of like that, like from you taking your glasses off before the Elements of Connection clinic, and then us thinking, oh, we're gonna do this workshopy challenge thing. It was gonna be a challenge, I think, in the beginning, and I was like, oh my god, it needs to be a vision quest. I think it worked out perfect.
Did work out perfectly. Oh, so good. Can't wait to have you guys join us. You're for sure gonna have to do it. If you're listening to this for a reason.
Yeah, so in the next week or so, we will post information about the workshop we're going to do. Guys, the dates and the details, you guys can sign up, and then we'll chat. If you have any questions about the Vision Quest for September, you can always reach out to us individually, or if you want to join us for our workshop, you can ask us. We'll save time at the very end for questions or anything like that you guys have. But the basic gist for now and what we just did was 21 days, and we went from focusing on the mind and then the body and then spirit. We gave you daily messages, bite-sized activities to do, meditations, kind of just leading you down a path where you could understand things deeper and then intertwine them all back to each other and integrate them into your real life. We had like journaling. Huh?
A couple live calls.
Yeah. We have a midway check-in, and then our last call is live. And then what we will do is for every round that we do this, we will have a private Facebook group for you guys to be able to go in and connect with the other people that are doing the Vision Quest with you. And I think that was actually the most potent, powerful part, because you got to feel like you were totally doing this thing, and people were very active and very open. And it was a very safe space because people were just saying exactly what was going on, and I gave everyone else permission. It just was just this like overflow of support, and I think it was cool because the people got to just experience that part of being vulnerable and safe at the same time, which is what I think people are really searching for, and we created that. Which is cool. uh, so I'll put the information for the wait list in the show notes, and then keep your little eyes peeled for the workshop we're going to do. And then I guess that's it. Is that it? Is that everything?
Yep. See ya.
Oh. Bonus, you get to have all of our awkward goodbyes in each video that we do together. Lucky you. You don't want to miss out on that. Oh, also, if you would just want to join the membership, that's also an option. I'll put the link for that in the show notes as well. Okay. See you guys later.